don't even know who was rapping? Turn this mic on for me, John. Turn that mic on.
Absolutely. I was like,
that was me?
That was you.
That was you.
When did I
it
do
was
that?
a bop, too. I was over here like, okay.
Yeah.
When did that was the last time I was here?
Yeah, bro.
Yep.
That was 2024.
I can't believe y'all made me do that.
We forced you to do it, huh?
I'm embarrassed myself.
Kadeen, you ready? Throw a beat on. Throw a beat on.
I'm leaving.
Oh, man, we were looking forward all week to this conversation. Just really getting to meet you in person. You know, Tracy G, you want to do some of the honors and tell them who we got today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a true power couple in my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, sincerely, because it's just built on realness, on genuine love, on sexiness, on hustle.
Yeah.
And they go all the way back. Like, this is not a new couple that's just taking advantage of, you know, all the socials and the spotlight on them. Like, these are college sweethearts.
Yeah.
They represent in my favorite borough.
Yeah.
Brooklyn. Podcast royalty. They're like parenthood royalty in a sense. They have 4 beautiful boys, and they are building an empire that's not only inspiring their youngins, but is inspiring some adults too. I'm one of them.
Let me find out.
Thank you so much, man.
That.
They're killing it across media as well as acting. We have Khadeen and Devale Ellis.
Come on, man. We got them in the building.
Dang, y'all, I appreciate y'all.
Come on, man.
Thank you for that intro.
Absolutely. We be giving them standing on.
Absolutely, I've stood up for them.
Oh, come on, man. I'm going to stand up, too.
I'm going to stand for
my
y'all,
brother.
too.
So y'all going to stand for us? Nobody ever done that before.
No, we love y'all too.
A lot
For
of
real.
standing in the room, right?
Everybody that asked about that.
I mean,
We
you
love
know,
y'all.
I tell you what, man, and I'm not even trying to be salacious, but I was just talking about this the other day. I get so frustrated hearing about our people in our community and our couples breaking up on social media, and then you're starting to hear the worst out of it.
Yeah.
You're starting to hear the behind
It's
the
tough.
curtain stuff of people you grow to love, right?
It's tough.
Yeah.
People you watch come up together, people we celebrated their loves at one point, and now you just hear these toxic endings happening.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see.
That's a big fact.
It's a big fact. It's
Yeah.
great to see it working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we get from you guys. So no pressure.
No pressure, but all the pressure.
But keep the bar going
no,
for us,
thank you.
man.
Yeah.
And
We
so
appreciate it. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Well, no, because too much social media, or not even too much, but social media can somehow, because it's energy, and it can enter your home in a certain kind of way, especially if you are in a strong partnership and you've decided to root your partnership under God.
Absolutely.
And so if you're not careful, sometimes little words, little things can be triggers.
Absolutely.
My husband and I had a conversation about this last week that I was sharing with Sway. And so I think about you two. Obviously, we were able to see Devale first, you know, with the popularity of Sisters. And for me, when my husband, you know, did music for a while as well, you know, you look as a woman and say, well, who's supporting him? Who's his wife? And she must be strong, because this is that industry that's demonic in a lot of ways as well. And that energy, again, can come. She has to be a strong sister, and he supports her as well. Absolutely. And then you step forward with everything that you guys were doing and being an awesome mom, awesome wife. Now we have to look back at Devale and say he's a strong man, because he has to sustain a certain way. He has to make sure the messiness is not entering the home as head of household. It's not a monetary thing or tripping thing, but he's your man, that you king and queen, period.
Absolutely.
So
I
we
appreciate
salute that,
That's
and we
true.
so y'all are stronger together.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's
y'all
how
are
we do
stronger
it.
together. So
Yes,
that's the
ma'am.
conversation we were sharing.
Yeah.
God bless y'all. That's why we have to
Well,
see
thank you
y'all.
so much,
I
man.
receive that, and I truly believe the energy that exists between Devale and I within our household
Period.
is the energy that we put out in the world. So people can say whatever they want. They could be in the comments. The world could be crumbling around us, but we know what we're rooted in. Like you said, first and foremost, God, and making sure that our 4 boys are able to see their parents in a loving relationship. We're loving on each other. We're supporting each other.
Yes.
Who's better equipped in the moment? Whoever has the spotlight in the moment. We all rally behind that person. So whether it's Devale or the tide shifts and it's my turn, baby, nothing falls by the wayside.
Amen.
Oh, I
Amen.
like that,
I love
man.
it.
Man, I'm
I
gonna
love
write that
it.
down.
Thank you.
Deval's so proud. He's like, that's my queen. Yes,
Y'all have
yes.
no idea, man.
Thank you. No,
It's
but seriously.
having a partner in life.
Amen.
Like, that's the biggest thing, is having a partner, right? We met at 18. Well, actually fell in love at 18. And the whole plan was this. That's why when people are watching and saying, I hope y'all prepared, yeah, we prepared and we had a plan, and the plan was never for one person. Yeah. The plan was always for both of us, but to also build a legacy so our kids can come after us. And they may not be in entertainment or sports, but our kids are going to grow up free black men knowing that their parents built this for them.
Absolutely.
And that's always been the plan. That's going to be the plan until it's not the plan no more.
I love that, man. And then you guys have done so well. Congratulations on Othello,
Yes.
the record-breaking play off of Broadway. You guys are co-producers, right?
Yes,
we are.
How'd that happen?
Man.
That is Denzel.
You know,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Denzel.
Bro.
Have any of y'all seen it?
Not yet. We was waiting to
Didn't
get
have
free
the opportunity.
tickets.
You know what's
I'm sorry.
They were. People were like chomping at the bits. Chomping at the bits.
Wait for the offer. No.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. The ticket was so hot. Even as producers, they were like, we don't have family tickets.
I know. I was waiting for a little code to give my friends and family discount.
There was no code.
There was no code, honey.
Yeah. But how did y'all get involved?
Yes.
Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
It was a friend of ours, Tiffany Burkett. We all went to college together. She has a close friend, LaShawn Thompson. And LaShawn Thompson's been doing Broadway for the last couple of years. And she was like, I know Devale and Khadeen are really interested in the arts. Let's see if they're interested in investing. So I was just like, all right, let's see what this investment looks like. And then once I realized it was Jake Gyllenhaal and it was Kenny Leon and Denzel Washington, I was like, yeah, I'm going to invest.
Yeah.
We might get a return on it.
Right.
We might, because there's no
Just
guarantee.
never know. Yeah.
But I wanted to learn.
Yes.
So I was more interested in understanding the business because, we also do live shows. We sold out Apollo Theater and Warner Theater, but I wanted to see what it's like to do a live show on the grandest scale, which is Broadway. I also wanted to see what the actor's process is getting into ready to do Broadway. So for me, it was like a paid internship, but I had to pay. And I was cool with it.
But it was okay because it was like a master class for us. We got to see the dress rehearsal, and this was the first time they had all run the show from top to bottom. And Devale and I sat there, and we just soaked everything up.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to opening night. Let me just paint the picture about what this
Oh,
looked
please,
like,
yes,
okay?
Since we couldn't go, so.
So we're not going to let that go.
So we get there, right? And we're walking to our seats, and we see Leon, we see Angela Bassett, we see Martha Stewart,
Felicia
we see
Rashad.
Joe Biden,
J-Lo.
I mean, Spike Lee, all of the greats, the people who we've admired, and people who we hope to model our careers after, they're literally standing and sitting around us.
Wow.
Devale and I are 2 rows in from the front. I mean, so close that Denzel's spit could land on me. We're in it.
You look excited about it.
Pause, right. But saying that to say, we were just soaking up every moment. Devale would tap me and be like, you see how you took that moment, how you took the breath?
Yeah.
You see how Jake was able to let you understand what he was saying? Because, Shakespearean terms are very heavily jargon-laden terms. Yeah. So being able to understand the story without necessarily understanding the verbiage, it was an art. So we were just happy to be in this master class, ultimately.
Wow,
and also, not for nothing, also be supportive of just black creators. The actual producers, Brian Moreland, Candy and Ty Burris, this is an all-black staff. To be a part of that and actually help bring that to fruition. Also show young black creators like, yo, I can be on Broadway. So just to be a part of that, whatever money I got to give to make that happen, I'm with that. Because we need more young people to say, I want to be in the arts. I wish I knew about the arts when I was in middle school or high school. I didn't. I just knew that I wanted to act, but I was like, I'm a young black man. I got to play some sort of sport. So I just went to sports. And then from sports, I transitioned. But if I had known that I could do art and it was a masculine thing and people would support me, I probably would have did art since middle school.
Wow, man. I love this, man. Devale and Khadeen Ellis are here. I'm curious, too. I was having a conversation with my daughter, right? And she's an adult. And we talk about business. We're starting to have conversations more about business. And I realized when I was speaking to her that I didn't have a lot of these conversations with the parents in my family. My grandfather used to mention it a little bit. My grandmother would put me up on game some. But it wasn't a mainstay conversation. Even in relationships, sometimes people don't have these conversations about business. You guys are successful authors, actors, producers. You're relaunching the podcast. Congratulations on that. Going around the
Thank you. Ellis Ever After.
Ellis Ever After. You're relaunching the podcast. Which
we still keep it dead ass, though.
You still keep it dead ass.
No choice, honey.
Okay, great. how did y'all start approaching conversations about business, like finances, investment, paying bills? How did that happen?
I did like you, much to your point. My parents came up from the West Indies. My mother from Jamaica at 17. My father also from St. Vincent as a teen. So they didn't really know much about business. My parents came up here with the one goal, and that was to survive and to make sense of and to build their life. So I really leaned on Devale a lot for the business component because we learned a lot as we went along.
Yeah.
So you can speak a little bit more to that.
I had to unlearn some things before I implemented, right? Yeah. When I first retired from the NFL, a lot of people probably don't know the story if you haven't been following me, but we were broke. Right, I made a lot of money playing in the NFL, and I saved it. I invested in the stock market. I also invested in properties. But in 2008, we had the economic crisis.
That's right.
Yeah. And the stock market crashed, and then the housing market crashed. So all of the money I had was just gone. I moved back to Brooklyn with my wife here, and my fiance at the time, and my dad said, "Yo, it is not your mom's job or your wife's job to be stressed about money. You're the man of the house." Now, this is the same man who said to me, I get a little bit of pushback on this from people who are not so traditional. But he always told me, yo, if you ask a woman to have your children and marry you, it is your responsibility to pay the bills. Because if she goes to have a baby and she can't recover from that, you can't then say, well, you got to go take care of the baby and go back to work. So my dad has always been on me, like, financially, that's your job. Take the pressure off your wife. So for the first part of our marriage, I did that. And I didn't tell her what was going on. But then I realized if this is my partner, and we're going to do everything together, I need her to understand what I'm doing as a business person, because I also realize I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a 9-to-5er like my dad. So my dad got his pension. He goes to work 9 to 5. My mom knows where the money's coming, so it's kind of easy to keep track.
Right.
For us, when you're an entrepreneur, there's nothing to keep track.
Yeah.
I'm figuring this out. Like, you jump out of a plane, I'm trying to build a parachute on my way down. I need my wife who's with me falling on the way down to know what we're doing.
I need to know why we falling. You know what I'm saying? I am going to be a ride or die, but I want to know where we going, how we going to get there, what's the plan B? Because to Devale's point, he was so adamant about making sure that he was protecting me from all of the financial strains that he was feeling. So we spoke about it because in our first 5 years of our marriage, we realized we were really like in a dark place at some times because we weren't on the same page and we didn't have the open conversations. I was just trying to show up as a wife based off of what I've seen and what I've heard, but I never really sat down and asked my husband about the things that he needed to flourish as a husband and vice versa. And financial strain tends to be one of the biggest things. It's probably the biggest thing that most couples struggle with. So I needed him to tag me in and say, babe, like, I need to be aware of what's happening so I can help you.
And it wasn't easy.
Okay.
Because the first thing I did was have to show her how to be accountable. I'm like, yo, you spent $800 a month on, this was back when we was in the apartment, $800 a month on Starbucks. Devale, I don't spend $800 a month on Starbucks. I said, well, let's look at the American Express bill.
Oh,
okay.
He gonna pull up receipts.
You got receipts.
Oh, yeah. I literally got receipts because if my dad is telling me it's my responsibility, I'm going to tell her I don't want to pay $800 a month. But here's the crazy part. I sit my wife down and I say, look, you spend $40 a day on Starbucks. You go to work 5 days a week. What's 40 times 20? She's like, oh, I spent $800 a month. She bought a coffee maker.
Sure did.
Yeah.
So then what it showed me was the lie that women can't take accountability just says that the women that you choose aren't taking accountability because my wife took accountability and then made changes. And I just realized, let me lean into that. If I know that there's something I can teach her financially, I'm going to teach her and see what she does with it. She creates budgets now. She knows everything from all the wealth building stuff, 529 plans, IRAs, 401ks, everything with the business, because if something happens to me tomorrow, she has to step in and tell everybody as my power of attorney, these kids need to get this, these bills need to be paid. And I just didn't want her to have that stress if something happens to me.
Oh, I love it, man. Let's get the game. Torch, you writing this down? Torch.
Torch trying to find his other knee, homie.
So before we move forward, why now do you have the new name and format of the podcast?
Yeah.
Why was it time to reinvent?
it's funny. We kind of fell into the podcast space, not really knowing at the time what podcasting was. We just knew that we were out there making these videos on Instagram. It kind of was like a battle of the sexes. Like, here I am as the wife in the scenario. He's the husband, and here's what we're dealing with. Because we realized that there were things that we were dealing with internally that when we brought to the public forum in the form of an Instagram video, of course, through jest, people were in the comments like, no, that's me. Oh,
battling,
my God.
Fighting,
It's like, they're debating and stuff. So we're like, let's take this to the podcasting forum, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So once we got in there, here we are, 200 plus episodes in, 16 seasons in, live shows, sold out tours. We said, maybe we've done all there was to be done in the podcast space.
Yeah.
We felt like we had done enough.
Okay.
Until last year, we had our final show, and we talked about retiring.
Yeah.
And baby, let me tell you, people came from all over and said, absolutely not.
They booed us.
You cannot
They
stop.
booed us.
They were like,
they booed.
no.
They was like,
boo.
No.
We had this whole beautiful montage of like our crew and like the whole experience. So Devale and I got home and I said, I don't think our job is done, Lord.
Yeah.
And that was literally God sending people from different avenues,
Yeah.
people writing in. We bump into them at the airport or on the street and they say, you guys cannot stop. You saved my marriage. You taught me how to speak to my spouse. So I said, well, Lord, if this is our ministry, I guess we have to find a way to keep going. And that's when the revamp happened.
And I will say this,
dope.
I've never said this publicly, but I will say it now. I've always gotten visions, right? Like, I believe in God so much, right, that I believe that the things that I know that no one else has told me can only be from God.
Amen.
And when we first was doing when we first started the podcast, I was like, yo, we need to do a podcast because I need to tell a black man's version of fatherhood that's never been told before.
Yeah.
But I need to tell it with my wife, so they need to hear your perspective. And we watched it become a battle of the sexes online. And we were kind of like, yo, this is not what we wanted it to become.
Right.
Yeah.
We all
The
work
clickbait
better
stuff and
together.
the
Yeah.
salacious clips.
You know what I'm saying?
The sexes.
And then,
Right.
like, God once again was like, Devale, this ain't it. This ain't it. Don't do it. So then we was like, you know what? Let's go to how we do it after therapy. After we had the tough conversations. These are the Ellises. This is Ellis Ever After. And that's how the change came, because we don't argue like we used to. We don't make fun of each other, and you know how New Yorkers are.
Yeah.
We clown each other to the point where sometimes people feel like they don't like each other. They clown each other. But I'm like, we New Yorkers, that's how we play.
Yeah.
Very direct, too.
Yes.
Very direct.
A lot of bros is sons and niggas.
Yeah.
You know that.
That's a New York relationship.
You know what's funny? I was telling Sway, a New York relationship is very volatile.
Very, very.
But
in the
I
most
just
loving
did,
way.
I did a video with the funny salesman.
Yes.
And he was like, he's never approached anybody. And I was like, yo, listen, I'm an actor. If we're going to do this, we're going to tell a story. We're going to do this. He's like, all right, bet. I'm going to rock with you, right? So then he comes over, and I start being real New York. And he stopped. And he was like, my fault, bro. And then I was like, your fault what? Like, this is what you do. Do your thing. He's like, no, I thought you was upset. I said, no, I'm just from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, yeah. So then his partner was like, nah, let's rock with it. So then we kept going. But in the comments, people like, Devale, I've never seen you this angry. And I'm like, this is New York people.
Right.
Yeah.
When you approach us, this is how we act. If I'm going to do a skit, I'm not going to do a skit and put myself in a positive light. It's a skit.
It's
You approach somebody
entertainment.
from New York,
It's
this is what it's
acting.
like. But it was the same thing for us. We're doing jest, and people like, yo, he talked to his wife crazy. She talked to him crazy. And I'm like, all right, we
Everybody
have to show
calm down.
people
Right.
like,
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
what really goes on, how we really have these conversations. So the podcast now is that.
Yes.
When you're watching, and we're talking about real things, perimenopause, me getting the vasectomy, postpartum preeclampsia, postpartum depression. Like, we're talking about things that can help us move forward as a community, because I think more men need to understand what women go through, and more women
Vice
need to
versa.
understand what men go through. It don't need to be a
Yes.
battle.
Yes.
Let me understand and
Like
be
you
empathetic.
said, the union,
Of
the
the
unity
sexes.
of the
Absolutely.
sexes. Let's push that forward.
I
There
like
you
that. I
go.
love
I like
that.
that. The
Push that
union.
of the sexes.
Ellis Ever After. I get it
Yeah.
now. Okay. Thank you for breaking that down.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Absolutely. What's also wild about long-term relationships, and I'm in one, is, initially you're drawn to a specific version of your partner, but then really you're signing up to the welcoming, the birthing of multiple evolutions,
Yes.
that you have to get to
Yes.
know. And so flexibility is required, curiosity, grace, honey. And so I'm wondering for both of you, Kadeen, Devale, have you had...
That's a good baby name if we mix the names. Devale. I like it. We ain't having no more babies, though, so let me just...
Lock it up.
Y'all have another baby? No.
Look, you starting rumors.
Exclusive. But have you each had a time where you had a personal transformation, and perhaps initially it created friction in the relationship, but then ultimately it created connection?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I feel like there have been several, to your point, iterations of Devale and Khadeen. And I would hope.
So I'm pretty sure you probably had to deal with a lot of different versions.
And vice versa. Listen, it's funny when people meet us and they're like, oh, I want to find my version of Devale, and I want to find my version of Kadeen. First of all, let me put it on the table. Okay, let's clear the air. The version of Devale and Khadeen that people see today has taken time to get to. Okay?
Man.
There have been several iterations of us, because what you would hope when in a long-term relationship is that the person that you meet at the very beginning, 5 years in, 10 years in, 15 years in, is not the same person. You want to evolve. You want to grow. You want to change. So I want to say maybe after, for me personally, I could speak to my experience, and I'm sure you may have one, but within that first 5-year span, like I said, of our relationship, it was particularly difficult for me because I realized at 18, we started dating, right? I didn't even know who I was at 18.
That's a fact.
As an individual, as a woman. So I realized the detriment that it was to me growing as a woman, because I didn't know myself, and I'm trying to grow simultaneously alongside someone who's also trying to grow. So we're trying to be considerate of each other's feelings, but also having the moments where we're like crashing out, as the kids say nowadays, because we're trying to love each other through it, and we can't do it in a mature way because we weren't even equipped to do that at that age. So that first 5-year mark for me was really a hard time, because I was just trying to show up and exist how I thought he needed me to exist without asking him and having the conversations about what he required. And after that point, I think things got a lot better. It was still a continuing, ongoing conversation. I say marriage is that. It's an ongoing conversation.
Absolutely.
So we're always continually having the conversation, still 23 years in, about how I can be of service to you. What are the things that you require from me to help you show up every day as your best self? So those have been the conversations more lately with us. And that kind of led us to writing our book, We Over Me. It was the counterintuitive approach to how you get what you want out of your relationship. And we say that because we just told our story. You know, some people can resonate with me, some people resonate with Devale, some people have come to us and said, because of y'all, I know that I don't never want to be married.
Ever get married.
Man.
And I said, that's great.
That's a fact.
Like, I'm happy that people are having those, because for a long time, marriage was something that people aspired to. Like, it was like a badge of honor for a woman to be married.
I think people aspire to have weddings. Right? And the reason why, not to cut you off,
no, go ahead.
There's a difference between being a husband and being a groom. Right? When you want to be a groom, I want to look good in my tuxedo. I want to get me a Barbie that's going to be on my arm, and wherever I go, she's going to listen to what I say, and it look good. But grooms, like that after that day, what else do you have? Right? When you a husband, you embrace the fact that she is going to change. And I always wanted to be a husband. So for me, the biggest thing, when you're looking for someone to live that long-term life with, aspire to be with someone who wants the role, not just want the wedding.
Right.
I found a woman who I knew wanted to be a wife. So when me being a husband,
I wanted the wedding too, y'all. Though I wanted the
wedding. Two things could be true at once.
Okay, all right. There's duality and everything.
But when you come into it wanting to be a spouse, you embrace the change. Everything Kadeen went through. When she was gaining weight through pregnancy, I loved it. When she was losing weight after, I loved it. When she has her attitudes through PMS, I love it. Yeah, do we argue about it? Yeah, we argue about it. But for me, it's like a Rubik's Cube, right? How can I solve this equation? Today, my wife's not in the best space. What can I do to make sure that by the end of the day, she's in a better space? Because if you're not going to do that for your spouse, what else are you going to do? Be angry? Sit back and just be like, oh, fuck her. And no, why choose that person? So for me, it was like, yo, whatever changes come with that, I'm dealing with it, you know?
What would you say is the most recent thing that you've learned about Kadeen or noticed? Something new?
Oh, she just started. She came back into her professional bag. And I realized that I loved the person that was dream chasing more than I loved the wife.
Said that recently.
More than I loved the mom. Like, if I'm being honest, it became super sexy to me.
Yeah.
When she had shit to do outside of the house.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to meet with your acting coach. Oh, you're going to work out. Oh, you got lines to study. And then it just felt like I got my partner back. Because at 18, that's what I fell in love with. That's another narrative that I want to put the kibosh on. So many people put this narrative out there that black men, for example, don't want a black woman that has her own. We're intimidated by that. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case.
I second that, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yo, for real.
Torch, you in on this? All right, Torch, okay. PB? Okay, all right, okay.
There is nothing like having a partner to when you don't want to do some shit and your wife say, I got it, and you could be like, this is so fucking sexy. Like, I'm so serious. Like, when I first retired from the NFL, I told this story all the time. I didn't know how we was going to make money first. But she was like, yo, I could do makeup. I was like, bet. What you need to do is go down to Mac, get a job so that we can get insurance. She was like, bet. Turned her ring inside, went to get the paper. I'm like, that's my homie right there. Like,
so I actually took the ring off, put it in the jewelry box. I walked to the bus stop, and I put my all black on, did my face, and I said, all right, I'm going to go to the mall and get me a job. Like, what do we got to do? What do we have to do right now?
You know how much that fills you up as a man when you know, like, my dog right here, and she's a beautiful woman. We were 27 when I got released. At 27, she could have been like, you know what, I ain't signed up to be back in Brooklyn with this, doing this, man. I'm going to go find me somebody else. I'm going to go. But nah, she was like, yo, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You don't find that from people, not even just women. You don't find that from your homies.
Your homies don't
I
do
got
that,
homies that when I wasn't playing ball no more, I ain't hear from them no more.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's when you find that person that's gonna rock with you, you got to stick with them. You have to build with that, and it's like the most beautiful thing ever. That's why when I see people talking about marriage the way they talk about it,
it's crazy.
I'm like, y'all just married the wrong person, yo.
Wow,
we got to use more discernment. You know what I'm saying? Because I love being married.
That's dope.
I love it. We make
Get
money.
him around.
We be fucking.
We
got kids.
What? Hello. Wait a minute. What this is conversation?
He grown, Sway. He grown.
That's a serious sex, Sam. You can
Come on. We got Devale, Khadeen Ellis are here. Nate is on the line. You put emphasis on that too, man. Nate is on the line from Kentucky. What up, Nate? How you doing?
What up, Nate?
From Kentucky.
Hey, what's going on, Sway and family? I appreciate y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
sir,
Go ahead,
man.
man. Talk to us.
Hey, Devale, I wanted to say, I'm 47. I would say you are absolutely right when your wife gives in a professional bag how attractive you are to her.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
I work from a recruiter command here for the United States Army. And I'm busy, and it always used to make me mad. My wife had so much drive, and when she finally got her drive back, now I can't keep my hands off of her. So I told her,
Yes.
I did not know that was a thing until I sat back. You know, I go to therapy too, and realized, you know what, that's absolutely what it was, and I didn't keep it a secret. I told her exactly what it was, and I think that drove her even harder.
I'm glad.
That's me, Nate. Now I'm like, oh, you like this.
That's her, Nate.
You like this. I said, well, let me get back to hit the backs. Because I
Look,
did for a long time. Sorry, go ahead, Nate. Finish up.
I'm also, my family's from a little town called Uncertain, Texas, and my mom absolutely took care of 4 kids with a husband and went to Vietnam 4 or 5 times. So when she had to get that money, she went and got that money. When he came back, it seems like another child popped up. But anyway.
That's how it
happens.
That's how it happens.
No coincidence.
Hey, Nate, man, thanks for your call, man. You're a super citizen, bro.
That's Sway in the morning.
Hey,
Love
y'all-
you, Nate, man.
Thank you for your
Thank you for
service too,
everything,
Nate.
Nate. Yes.
Okay, I get it now. Okay.
That is
Starting to
awesome.
understand. I'm glad you brought it this time, Devale, man.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
You know what,
Khadeen.
Sway?
Listen, you
Nah.
know, he can't leave me behind too. You know,
Nah.
you
Yeah,
can't
right.
leave me behind too long. You know.
I can't.
Yeah.
I need my ride or die like
You
right
lucky
here.
I ain't had 4 kids in tow too, because they like our little
We
shadow.
we go together.
You know, the
whole
mama
family,
duckling
whole
with the
family.
little babies behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, our boys look like the Wi-Fi signal. You know, they like.
Oh my God, that's
That-
true. I'm done.
Wi-Fi
They
signal.
do. They be in a size order. Protect the queen, Cairo. You got to be on the right side.
They
Jackson.
are.
Protect the queen.
They got their
You
whole
got them
thing.
flanking.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I like
Yes,
that.
sir.
Yo, hey,
Yes,
You know
sir.
what's funny? Nate called. Devale, I want to ask you a question then. What would you say to men who struggle with their partners or their spouses who are going out there to get it, because some men can be very intimidated by it,
yes.
jealous, uncomfortable, especially like you, Kadeen. You're in the entertainment industry. You know, you meet people all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you think you got the bag, but bruh came through with a bigger bag. You think so. What would you say to men who may be struggling with that? She was home for a long time, paying all the attention to you,
right?
And now it's not on you. Speak to the ego.
I think the biggest thing is we have to understand our history as a people. Right? Like, we have to understand why we feel the way we feel, why we get triggered by certain things, right? For example, black men in this country have not only been dehumanized, but they've taken away our masculinity, right? Y'all heard about buck breaking back in the West Indies and how they purposely wanted to take our manhood from us. Imagine you have a generation or generations of men who felt like we always have to prove our masculinity, especially to our women, right? Now, conversely, think about women. Our women have watched their men be taken out of the homes through mass incarcerations, through lynchings, through everything. So our women have learned how to be super strong because they got to take care of the home and everything. Plus, our women have always been earners. There's never been a time in American history where the black woman was just at home all the time. Yeah, there were pockets where there were some wealthy black people, but for the most part, black women always had to work. So we as a people have to understand where our triggers come from. When you're dealing with a man who may have some ego issues, ask him why. Like, what's going on? Why do you feel this way? If he hasn't gone to therapy, he'll probably open up and tell you they may have some issues with his dad or his mom, or he's never had things in life, or he's had some issues with some other women who've made him feel uncomfortable. That's not that woman's issue. But when you start to understand your history as a people, you know what you're getting when you sit across from somebody. That's why when I have debates and I talk to black women and they want to, they feel like, oh, you're going to sit and talk to them and argue? I said, it's not arguing. I understand the pain that's in my woman's voices. So when they get maybe a little upset or they may say something that triggered them, I don't take it personal. That's your personal experience. And I think more men need to realize that if we're going to call ourselves kings, right, and the leaders of our community, we have to have empathy for our women and lead by example, right? We say all the time, women are emotional. If you know women are emotional, you can't then be emotional, my nigga. Sorry, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't. If you say you're the leader, you got to learn how to be even. And I think that that's, for a lot of men, I'm like, yo, learn how to deal with your own issues first before you even get in a relationship. Because all you're going to do is project whatever you're going through or have gone through. And I'm saying that as a person who's dealt with it. I projected all of my issues I had with my mom and my dad. So it's not about just growing up in a single family. I live with my mom and my dad. And I watched my mom fall short and I watched my dad fall short at times. And the things that my dad did to fall short, I was like, I'm never going to do that. So I was super volatile with my wife about that and the things that my mom fell short, and I was always pointing at her like, don't do this. Until I dealt with it on my own, and I'm like, yo, she's not those two. So I think that more men, if they're dealing with the ego, it's going to sound cliche, but get therapy. But nah. And therapy don't have to be a therapist. You know what I'm saying? Therapy can be speaking to your friends openly. Therapy can be speaking to your pastor. Therapy can be speaking to your wife.
Yeah, that's how it happened for us a lot.
Man, when I tell you Deadass Podcast became therapy for us, when she was making jokes and opening up about things, I was like, yo, I never heard you tell me that
Some
before.
of the conversations that we've had, the best conversations we had is like after the podcast wrapped, and, you know, we're debriefing about the day, or, you know, we're going to bed at night. It's like, damn, babe, I didn't know you really felt like that about that. And we were able to now see that we didn't judge our partners because we were having a better understanding of like where they came from. So for example, Devale, living with my parents now because they're retired and they live with us and help with the children. He's like, beautiful. Damn, Kay, thank God for the village, right? But he's able to look at me now and say, damn, Kay, I realize where that might have triggered you or where that came from because I see it in your mom or I see it in your dad and vice versa, you know? And to speak about the male ego, there was a point in time in the relationship with us where we had our first son. We needed health insurance. He wasn't in the league anymore. Health insurance was done. I started working in you know, MAC Cosmetics, and he had to stay home with the baby. And I never thought about what that would have felt like for him not being able to be in the space where he was the breadwinner or he was the provider. For me, it's just like, yo, babe, what we got to do? I'm going to do it. But
I was broke and broken.
I didn't know, and I didn't know.
I would go in the bathroom. I'll go in the bathroom, turn the shower on. I'll be sitting on the toilet, fully clothed like this. And she'd be like, you okay, baby? Yeah. I'm fine. You know, just trying to get my bravado up, and then I'll go get in the shower, come on, act like everything was okay. And that was because of my ego, but it was because of everything my dad taught me. My dad told me that I got to be the breadwinner. Yeah. My grandfather was the breadwinner. And here I am retiring from the NFL, and my wife got to go to work. Yeah. And I'm staying at home with our 1-year-old. I felt like less of a man. And in a lot of ways, you know what I did? I projected that anger on the person who was closest to me. And who's the closest person to me? Her. Yeah. It had nothing to do with her, but I projected it on her. And then once I started to learn about myself, then I learned about her family. When I learned about her family, that's when I was like, oh, I got to change some things.
But let me ask you this. Looking back now, having done the work you all have done and what you learned about yourselves individually and as a couple, when you look back at that 2 years now and realize that you stepped up where help was needed and you did take care of those kids, do you still feel like you were less of a man now? How do you see it now when you reflect on it?
To be honest, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Come on, bro.
And you should be.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I am proud of myself. I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of us as 2 young kids. Yes, I'm definitely proud of you, too.
2 young kids.
Yeah. But I feel like that's why I'm willing to be honest and open so that a lot of young men can realize wherever you are in that moment is not the last page of the book.
There it is.
Right? Because we also have an extremely high rate of suicide in the black male community. And I think it's important for a lot of black men to know that moment that you're in right now is not the end. So you don't have to end it right there. You can keep working and make it better. I done failed and rose so many times. I came out of high school, didn't have a scholarship, had to walk on and earn it. Went to the NFL, did all the things I was supposed to do, didn't get drafted, had to walk on. It was like, dang, failure. Oh, success out of that failure. Yeah. Became a husband. Was a terrible failure of a husband my first 5 years. Horrible. Emotionally, spiritually, I just wasn't there. Financially, I wasn't there. I was angry, just everything. But then I rose again. You know what I'm saying? And I want people to see that. Like, I'm a person. Like anybody, I'm going to make mistakes. And the thing is, I got my rock with me. Like,
man, it just makes the story that much sweeter for us as we look back. I don't think we take enough time to sit and absorb it. So, I'm thankful when we're in spaces like this where, folks want to give us our flowers and give us hugs or even saying, like, the podcast really affected me as well, too, because I know I'm not alone. Like, those moments really, it just reiterates to us that we're on the right path.
You deserve your flowers as well, Kadeen, and thank you for sharing, Devale, because at those moments, those 5 years that y'all spoke about, I've been married 24 years as well. And so those moments that you spoke about, those 5 years, depending on your circle, depending on the people around, depending on your trauma, who's in your ear, you could have walked away.
Absolutely.
And would have been supported. That little wicked squad. That's right.
That's right, girl.
Fuck that.
You could do better than that.
And instead,
we had people
you realize, we all do.
Yes.
We all do.
Yes.
And I recognize it in the conversation that you guys are sharing. And you guys decided this union was born under God, and we're going to stand on God.
Absolutely.
Before listening to all of that.
Absolutely.
So beautiful to you for standing.
No, I appreciate that. And we talk about getting together in college at 18, but I had eyes on him since elementary school.
Stalker.
A stalker.
That's the little hater. That's the hater.
That's rolling off the line in the sand. I had eyes on him.
It is what it is.
But to your point, and talking about how I really honestly feel like Devale and I have this is a divine connection. Having gone to the same elementary school, him leaving, right? Then still crossing paths, going to rival high school. So I'd see him at football games. He's the star athlete. I'm in the cheerleading squad. And then finally, meeting each other again at this banquet where everything really came to. That's when I shot my shot and bagged him really. But when I did that, it was just always crossing paths over the years. He worked at Haagen-Dazs in Kings Plaza Mall. Wow. I would be in the mall with my cousin. She'd be like, girl, just go buy an ice cream cone. I'm like, I don't know what to say to him.
Someone said she stalked me.
Yeah, I did. I had lost his phone number after the banquet, and sis went to the white pages, honey.
You went to the white pages?
Do you remember the white pages?
The phone book?
The phone book. I went to the phone book. Now we're dating ourselves, honey. It's giving she's going to get what she wants. Right. And now I went to the white pages and found his dad's number, and I said, oh, that's where they live. Okay, cool. First of all, I did a little drive by the house. I said, oh, I don't see no car that looked like his car. So I called the house, and I was like, hey, Miss Ellis, it's Kadeen. Do you remember me from the banquet? Yeah. Do you have Devale's phone number? I lost it. I want to talk to him because I'm going to Hofstra.
You lied to his mom? Lied. add to my mom. My mom just gave the number up.
Sway, you added. You added, Sway. And your mom gave the number?
Gave the number up.
She wanted you to be her
Right. She was part of the divine plan.
Women be knowing. Women have
Tell them
insight.
about your dad at the Spring Festival. I was like 13.
This is a true story, right? I'm in middle school. My dad comes home from the Spring Festival because we used to go to the same elementary school. Yo, bro. I'm like, what's up? I seen this bad shorty.
Yo, that's your dad?
It's my pops. It's my pops. Right? I'm like, what? Because I'm 13. I don't think that my father knows about girls. He's like, yo, she was presenting and she spoke so well. She was very nice. She was a clean cut girl, and she's very nice. You should look into that. I was like, sure, Dad. Like, you know anything about women, because nobody thinks their father knows. My pops.
Right.
But then come to find out, it was her. And he was right the whole time.
I was emceeing the Spring Festival for our old school.
Wow.
And our sisters at the time, who were 10 years younger than us, they were performing.
Yep.
And his dad saw me at the Spring Festival. So it wasn't until we got together and we were like having a conversation randomly at the house one day, he was like, "You're the girl from the Spring Festival." And I said, "What Spring Festival?" He said, "Did you MC the Spring Festival one year?" Like, I said, "I did." He was like, "That's the girl I told you. You the girl." It was like a big thing.
And I'm going to tell you how crazy this is.
I love that.
Goosebumps off of this
Right.
story, though.
Jackson, our oldest son is 14 now. And I know what my father was doing. Every father does this. Your father gets to the age, he's like, let me see what he into. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. You like her? You like her? So I'm doing it to Jackson now. And now he does it to me. I'm like, you like her? He's just like, what you know about girls? He just said that. He said, I was like, do you see your mother?
Right.
Look at your mother right now. Or randomly, we'll be in the kitchen, right? We'll all be eating, right? And she'll walk by. I'm like, yo, pay attention, eyes up. And they look like, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm like, I'm with everybody right now. Look at your mother. And they be like, oh my God. I'm like, come here, baby. She'll come over and I like squeeze her butt. They like, ew. And I'm like, that's my baby. All right, make sure y'all get one that's just as good as this. Make sure she taking care of y'all. Make sure you get somebody to take care of y'all. But now Jackson is really on it because he knows that she graduated magna cum laude. So for the first time,
Standards.
he had his first Valentine.
At a minimum, sis.
Yeah.
Had his first Valentine, and he told us who the young lady was. And lo and
I'm
behold,
over here. White pages. Let me see if I can find her. Where's the headshot?
and she did find it too, though.
I found her.
But she's in
door, I'ma find
the
her.
National Honor Society.
Oh,
Wow. Oh my.
Modeled after his mom.
Eritrean,
Yep.
black girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not one of those. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
But I do tell my sons, like, you have to love black women, bro. We come from black women.
Yeah.
If you don't love black women, you don't love yourself.
There you go.
Like that's our motto. And if anybody got an issue with me telling my sons they have to love the very thing they come from, you can kick rocks. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that ain't even a debate.
I want my sons to marry black women. So when I saw this Eritrean girl in the honor society, man, I was like,
you start crying,
I'm
right?
like, yo, that's my boy.
Generational blessings. Let's get
Love
it.
it, man. Devale and Khadeen Ellis,
Oh,
man.
man,
Give them a round of
amazing.
applause before you go.
Thank y'all.
This
Oh,
might
God,
be.
we gotta go. I was just
Me too. I did the same thing.
It felt like a family reunion up here.
Last time. But this is going to sound really ironic, but I think we'll be remiss if we don't bring up divorced sisters.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's right. Khadeen, you are doing you are talking about divorce. You're doing a little show.
Let me tell you, this is the one moment where art does not imitate life. Okay?
She really acted
Let's be clear and let me put it to bed. Because first of all, when the announcement came out, the image, people were like, no, they did not decide to announce they divorced on a reality show.
That's what they thought.
And I'm
was.
like, folks, let's read. It's a scripted show.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Divorce Sisters. My character's name is Geneva Washington, honey. And I just want y'all to buckle up for the ride because Geneva, alongside her besties, shout out to Tyler Perry for always coming up with some storylines.
Come on, man.
You know,
come up
and
with some
shout out to
stories.
TP for just giving me an opportunity, man. In this industry, that's all you hope and pray for, that somebody will give you a shot.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn the story of these 5 women, and some might be married, some might not be, some might be in situationships. You know. Buckle your seatbelts. June 10th is when it premieres on BET Plus.
Okay.
But you can get a sneak peek right after the BET Awards. So don't change the channel, y'all. Stick
Okay.
around.
with it.
Stick around.
You two are awesome. Y'all
Yeah.
you guys are medicine.
Thank you.
You guys are
Oh,
medicine
wow.
for us.
Thank you, man.
Truly,
Appreciate
man.
that.
Joined by
And-
God.
I
for
Joined
sure.
by God.
Yes,
and
yes.
and
Yeah, man.
I want to thank you for coming up here and sharing your lives the way you have, man. We're all learning from you,
yes,
right? And I know I've been here a little longer than you, but I'm sitting and taking mental notes, and you guys are both incredible.
Could y'all find Sway a wife?
Stop.
That means
all right. Okay. Well, you seem to be pretty good at it. You know what I mean?
I found my wife.
You can't find mine.
Right. He said, I'm not playing matchmaker.
Okay, you're not doing that. Okay, but congratulations on all the success. Y'all got to keep coming up here.
Yes.
Come back.
I will be
Come
back.
back.
Absolutely.
Come
I
on.
love the open invitation. I'm going to take you up on it.
Oh, it's all good,
Come
man.
I hear you
co-host
make a
with
mean
us.
cocktail or something, so we can make it a thing.
We can make it a thing.
That's
thing.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they can co-host. Come co-host the
co-host
show
with us.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Whatever
Next
y'all
time-
want from
next
us,
time
yo.
y'all
We in
come.
here.
let me know.
Okay.
Whatever y'all
We're
want.
down.
I love it here.
We're
Okay,
down.
man.
I love
Thank
it.
you, brother.
I do interviews sometimes. I be tired, as y'all probably saw.
Yeah.
Niggas be tired.
Yeah.
But
Single
Sound like
alert.
a rap group.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not like a single.
coming to the stage right now. Niggas be
MBT,
tired.
MBT to the stage.
But this was man. We woke up. We was up 5:30 to get ready because we just knew we was coming here,
Right.
man.
Wow.
First of all,
That's
I was like, I gotta get there. What time? I said, for who? They said Sway. And I said, oh, Sway and the crew. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
We
we was
can
up
do that. 'Cause
early.
The premiere is tonight, so I was like, I gotta get
Yeah.
to glam and do all the things. But I'm like, I'm coming here first.
Yeah, we was here. And
What
we,
a way to
yo,
start a day. I feel so blessed.
Good, man.
Y'all
That's
love.
it. So do
Thank
we. And
Yes.
and what a way for us to end our week,
Yeah,
right?
man.
You
And thank
know,
you, Michelle, too. Thank
Michelle,
you.
that's family.
Yeah.
We've
Come
known
on,
each other for
Michelle.
years.
Yeah.
Favorite.
She's
Yes.
incredible. I've watched y'all before I knew y'all. So,
Ain't that
you know,
something?
ain't that something?
Yeah.
I might have told y'all when I first saw y'all, I was like, what is this? It's funny, but it's dope.
That's what's
You
up,
know,
man. That
y'all
means a
let us
lot.
inside.
Thank
That
you.
means a
And
lot.
so we appreciate you. Keep up the good work. You have allies
my
in
G.
us.
Yes.
And we're going to get you that
Thank you so
LL roll.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
Come on, now.
Got to get
Come
you
on,
that
Todd.
LL roll.
Hey, yo, Todd, man. I'm here, baby. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
He licked his lips.
Now look, wow, you know what time it is, baby.
Wow,
You feel
man.
me? You feel me, Sway?
Look at his lips.
I'm
That's how
just
you
playing.
get stalkers,
I'm just
bro.
playing.
That's how you
That
get
is how I got a stalker.
I mean, yeah. You know, go whitepages.com.
There you go, man. But thank you, man. Give them a
Not
big
an
round
ad.
of applause.
Yes.
Devale and Khadeen Ellis,
Thank
the
you.
entire
Thank
family,
Appreciate y'all.
divorced sister.
Love y'all.
Divorced
Yes.
sisters. Make sure you look out
June
for that.
10th.
Ellis Ever After. Make sure you look out for that and all the wonderful things they're
Yeah.
doing.